Hello and welcome to dinCloud's webinar, an intro to the dinCloud and Citrix Alliance. Today we're joined by two very special speakers. We have Ali Din, Chief Marketing Officer at dinCloud, as well as Steve Curran, Senior Product Sales Specialist at Citrix.
Thanks, Tara. This is Ali Din with dinCloud, and I'm happy to welcome you as well. And I'm just going to walk through the agenda real fast here, just to give you an overview of what we're going to be speaking about. So our agenda for today, it's going to talk about the hosted apps in the desktop market, and Steve is going to address that from the Citrix perspective, as well as taking a look at the apps versus desktops and on-prem. Also, as a reseller, taking a look at the needs, the drivers of the SMB market, the small mid-market, and then we'll start to go into the Citrix and dinCloud Alliance, and then I'll jump back in and we'll talk about some of the options and some of the things that will really help you differentiate the offering when you go to your customers. So with that, I'm very happy to have Steve Curran from Citrix here, and he's going to comment on the dinCloud Citrix Alliance and the relationship and how you can take this to market. Steve, please take it away.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Ali, for the introduction. And we're very excited about this partnership with dinCloud. And we have launched it here about 2 months ago, and they're a very strong relationship that has immediately been established. What I want to do today is, as Ali had mentioned, walk through what we're seeing in the market today, talk a little bit about the joint alliance and solution, and then also cover some of the needs and drivers for the SMB market that we're seeing here today based on some research that we've compiled that your company will be able to access as well as a partner with dinCloud. The first thing is probably many of us are seeing in the market today. We're seeing a very aggressive migration to small businesses ranging in size, and I'll cover some of those statistics in my next slide. But in general, the entire SMB market, as well as the mid-market and the enterprise, are moving to a hosted apps and hosted desktop operating model. A number of things are pushing this in this particular direction. And today, we're seeing roughly about a 29% compound annual growth rate in both the applications as well as the desktop migration. That's 10 times of what we're seeing in folks pursuing and installing on-prem type solutions. Number of things that are driving it today, but primarily this is really a movement that we're seeing, and a lot of it is driven as well by companies such as dinCloud, who has a robust infrastructure and support infrastructure behind their solution that'll give you the service assurance that you need to put a quality product into the marketplace. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the way of the sizes of companies that are making this migration to hosted apps and desktops. What I've done is present here some resources and some research from AMI partners, and this rolls up the migration statistics on a segment based on a per number of employees per company. As you can see, we present 4 different segments, the smaller of the SMBs being 10 employees and below, and then the segment of 10 to 20 employees, and then 20 employees to 100, and then 100 to 500. And this is how we classify the SMB market. As you can see, these customers are moving very aggressively to the cloud as this projects where they were in 2015 and what the projections are looking at for 2020 in the way of how many companies percentage-wise in distribution are going to be moving to a hosted model. The very encouraging thing is a very attractive market, and many of the companies that you folks serve today in the 10 to 20 employee range and then the 20 to 100 employee range compose a 72% migration that they're going to be on using hosted apps and desktops by 2020. And then also for the 20 to 100 employee size, we're looking roughly at about 64%. So the migration is already underway. dinCloud has spotted this trend and is currently working with Citrix today to step up and deliver this solution to the market. So what's driving the SMB? What's their needs and what's driving them to this particular migration? As many of us know, the first thing is the lack of technology expertise. That has been an issue. In a lot of cases, it's budgetary, that they just don't have the resources to bring dedicated IT staff on board. Today, we only see roughly about 19% of the SMBs having a dedicated IT resource that they can utilize. The other thing that's really pushing the lack of, or the challenge of having technology expertise on board is the rapid change in the IT products and services. Here at Citrix alone, we're constantly, based on market demands, updating our versions of the software. And to keep pace with that is a challenge for an SMB. In a case like this, your end user customers can rely on both dinCloud as well as you as a reseller to make sure those versions are correct, or the most recent. And also the support that goes behind it, whether it be training material, difference in way end user has to be configured based on a compliance issue or security issue. The other items in the technology challenge is a lot of the customers, both large and small, are moving and have a very in-depth and strong need for a mobile strategy. And I'll talk a little bit about that in this slide as well. The second reason and need and driver for an SMB to move to a hosted model really lies in the cloud as a new IT infrastructure for SMB. You know, they're not familiar with it. There's a lot of confusion still in the cloud communications that are out there in the market. Roughly today, 92% of the SMBs use at least one cloud solution. A good example of that is Adobe Creative Cloud. Today, you can only purchase Adobe Creative Cloud if you purchase their cloud solution. So that's a real good example on how a software package, a software provider, has taken their software product and required cloud delivery to be a part of how they deliver their solution. The other thing, the big one, is security and compliance. And from the security standpoint, that's one thing to Citrix that was very attractive in us working and formulating the relationship with dinCloud, as security is a top priority for the dinCloud platform and the dinCloud team. So I think that that's a solution and an element that you're going to be able to put out to market as a reseller that's going to really give you a competitive leverage in the marketplace. The other one is compliance. And, you know, as we move through the compliance overall growth in certain sectors, such as the healthcare and the financial sector, that's really pushing a lot of folks to have to make that migration to the cloud so that their data is secure, it's constantly backed up, it's on a network that is robust and always accessible. The other thing are hybrid clouds. Those are often getting considered in a lot of deployments, and it gives them a chance to kind of take a step migration into provisioning all of their services and their operations into a cloud delivery. The last piece that Citrix sees in really driving the SMB to a hosted model is the need for mobility. This has been a huge component in looking at multiple vertical sectors in making sure that the mobility is available to the end users and being the employees of that particular company. A good one is so many companies are doing remote management of their employees to find the expertise for a certain job role or skill set. In a lot of cases, a company isn't going to be requiring to have them on site. They could be located on the East Coast, the West Coast, in the Midwest. Whatever the geographical location would be, this solution that dinCloud and Citrix is announcing with the use of Zen Desktop and Zen App and the robust network and platform of dinCloud allow a small business to address that mobility need, which is a critical component and a competitive advantage for you folks. What I wanted to do now is talk a little bit about Citrix and the dinCloud relationship. What products are coming to market with this particular relationship? As you've heard likely in the press, and there's going to be some other press that's going to be released jointly by both companies coming up in 2018. And this relationship is positioned under and offered under the Citrix Service Provider program. And what I mean by that is this model, you could basically buy all the products that are presented on this slide in a per subscription status. And basically this would be offered and being offered today, where you could purchase a block of Zen Desktop licenses and services and deploy those to your customer base. And then if that customer base increases, then you would be able to scale the cost of delivery with that customer growth. And also on the likewise, if it's say a seasonal customer, where like the agricultural sector, where they go up and down, say during harvest or something of that nature, or now as we're delivering this during the holidays, we could actually come down after a seasonal and reduce the operating cost of that particular service deployment. So this model, as we do a subscription-based model, is becoming more and more a demand in the marketplace as we move forward. With this slide here, I wanted just to give you an introduction to the Citrix stack that dinCloud is going to be putting out to market underneath this alliance. The first product set, starting from the upper left, is Zen App and Zen Desktop. This allows you to deliver secure applications and desktops to your end users. This is the market-leading app delivery platform that is available today. The second feature and service line that's going to be deployed is called ShareFile. And this is a trusted business class data security for mobile users. It allows everyone of your employees and users to access, sync, and securely share your files and data. The third is Zen Mobile. As I mentioned earlier, the mobility component is a critical success factor for many of the SMBs that are operating in the market today. And this is a true completion of the delivery of the package that dinCloud's bringing out to market that would be available to you as well in this program. Also, the other thing that has been a key focus in the deployment of Citrix technology is analytics. And with the program that we've put together, made both available, both things that are made available, analytical tools to you folks are going to be smart tools, which helps in designing, in rapid deployment, and then of course ongoing management and health checks of your systems and platforms that will be made available to you. And the other one is dealing with our Netscaler product. And the Netscaler product is basically giving you a secured access point for your remote users. It also offers single sign-on, and it allows folks to access any app on any device through a single URL. So that's a system, that's an access platform that's going to be very, very popular. It also allows the end user to manage their load balancing. And that's a feature with dinCloud that's not going to be immediately available, but we're looking to make that available sometime in mid-2018. But with the Netscaler product line, we also have what's called the Netscaler Management and Analytics System. And this basically is a single platform that allows you folks to monitor and automate and manage the network services that are going through the Netscaler platform. And what this equates to is cost efficiencies and increased productivity of the Netscaler usage in your network. The other final service that's available is Citrix Secure Browser. And this really is targeted and made available for delivering SaaS applications as we begin to see more of an emergence of that component. And also it's a key component that controls development and support costs on your end. And we also have additional resources under the dinCloud offering and through the dinCloud team that can either give you demos of these products or video access to where you could do video training as well as just introductions. And we also have additional sales resources that your sales team would have access to that are standard sales pitches, battle cards, competitive information, as well as videos that make it very easy to explain to the end user. The final piece I wanted to cover today is how the whole picture fits together in this alliance. And the one big, very important thing that really is a focus of this alliance is security. And what we've been able to put together today with this solution, and then we combine that with the security focus of dinCloud, is that we can offer all of these products today in the dinCloud solution overall under a secure, defined perimeter. You know, when you look at today, when somebody who's not on the dinCloud environment, you know, they might be having a license, a standalone, bring your own device license for Salesforce. They might have it for SAP. They might have it for Adobe Cloud, as we talked about earlier. So they have all of these licenses kind of scattered all over the place, and each individual is accessing those licenses under their own individual native application access. With the solution that we're bringing together with Citrix and dinCloud, we're able to bring that into one umbrella that is secure and allows the end user to have a single sign-on to access the network and access all of their applications as well as their data by using the share file. And if that user happens to have to step out for a business trip or have to be away from their desk or their terminal, they could use any device from a mobile perspective to do the same functionality that they have in a resident machine. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Again, we're very excited about the dinCloud relationship and what we're able to put to the market beginning today and moving forward. And Ali, with that, I guess I'll go ahead and hand it over to you to cover some of the other key elements of the dinCloud platform.
Great. So what you've heard from Steve so far is all the market statistics, the drivers. You also have a good overview of what really you'll get with Citrix and dinCloud coming together to provide Workspace as a service or desktop as a service. So mainly what we're talking about here is help with onboarding. We have a automation and provisioning tool. We have very simple end user self-service, which is really going to help you as a competitive advantage when you go out in the marketplace and offer this solution versus other options that may be out there. And then the expertise and the background we have working with Citrix closely to provide the service. But let me just dive into this a little bit more and talk about the different options you have in terms of going to market. So one is, as a MSP, as a reseller, you could just buy all the components and build it for your customers, or maybe the customers just buy licenses and they decide to build it themselves. And that really is like excavating a construction site. You have to dig it up, build the foundation, hire the contractors. Who knows how long it's going to take? It's going to go over time, over budget. It's not really the most effective way when there's so many different options out in the marketplace. For example, you might be attracted to leveraging a platform. And when you look at the platform, again, it's like going into a building that just has all the gray matter up, and you're planning to put in the floors, you're going to put up the walls. You still are going to need a contractor. You're still going to need to make sure you get the voltage right. You need to make sure you get all the appliances in correctly. So there's still a lot of work in leveraging an existing platform, even as attractive as it may sound. Maybe it's a big name that you like, but it's still going to be a lot of work when the focus really you want to have is on working directly with your customers rather than working on the technology that you're using to deliver this for your customers. So I would, basically be recommending and endorsing you. So basically, when you look at a turnkey service, this is what really you get from desktop as a service or Workspace as a service from dinCloud and Citrix. So let's dive into that turnkey service, which is really like going into an apartment or a full service condo building, and all the furniture, everything is there. You just sit down and enjoy your time there. The types of, and Steve had talked about the different types of products out there, and these loosely translate into having dedicated desktops for users, a shared desktop environment, or just doing application publishing. So these are all services you can get from dinCloud. There are a number of benefits to hosted workspaces, and I'll just show this on the screen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because this is something that we would cover typically in an end user presentation. And so we have other resources you can go to that can really double click into this stuff and figure out what you get in terms of more control, the flexibility, the enhanced security, and some of the other benefits as well. So in terms of what you really get, what your customer gets is either the choice of a Windows 10 experience, and yes, it does have touch and gesturing support, or a Windows 8 experience. And we can support either of those. We have customers actually on some very old operating systems as well because of legacy applications. When you go through a private hosted cloud at dinCloud, what you get is the private cloud itself that's hosted with dinCloud, leveraging Citrix. You get the management tools, and we'll touch on that in a moment. And then you get a lot of built-in layers of security, stuff that you don't have to go and do yourself, that we feel should be a part of any service. And a lot of other cloud providers may make you go and find that stuff and put it together. So first on the management tools, and I'd alluded to this in terms of the self-service and the console, the provisioning, and the automation services. So we have custom developed in-house a tool, we call it dinManage, but it really gives both you and your customer a lot of control over the environment, whether it's spinning up the private cloud, whether it's managing the security around it with the VPN and firewall, or it's going in and really taking provisioning users, deprovisioning users, connecting with the Active Directory, setting up VPNs and things like that. There's a lot of flexibility. And one comment we keep hearing back from our analysts and customers is that it's the ease of use, it's the simplicity of what we do. So when you go to another option out there and you go to these big public clouds, they have a lot of capabilities. You may have 200 different levers to pull, but the problem with that is misconfiguration, security gaps that get exposed, and it's not very simple to use. So that's what we really try to provide as our value proposition is you can do all the adjustments you want. You have all the control down to command line access of the environment, and you can manage it all either yourself as your customer's managed provider, or you can allow customers to also have that control. Touching next on the private cloud offering that we have. So we've worked directly with Equinix, which is a large public company. They are probably the largest data center provider in the world. They have over 100 different data centers, actually. And what this gives us is taking care of all the storage, the compute, the networking. Again, this is really desktop as a service. And so these are the components that you get when you do that. And so when you look at things that we do through the combination of Equinix and our connectivity partners, you get redundancy in your power, in the cooling, in the connectivity. So this really assures you and your customers that you have a highly resilient platform to use. Security is really where, if you look at the dinCloud logo, and right from the beginning, we've been always about security. So our philosophy is really on providing a lot of these foundational levels of security to our customers rather than making them jump through the hoops and put this in. So at a high level, again, these are the types of benefits and features we would cover in more detail in either a one-on-one conversation or in an end user presentation. But as you can see, the different levels within cybersecurity, site-to-site VPN and IPsec support. We do IP reputation filtering for customers. We have encryption, network security, dedicated firewalls, and we support dedicated VLANs. Malware protection is included. So these are a lot of things that you get just as part of the service. From a physical security perspective, again, using Equinix, we have tier 3+ data centers, which are much more resilient. We have a lot of power. I covered that, in terms of the redundancy, the physical security, getting to inside the data center, getting specifically to all of our servers. And we actually have locks both on the front and the back. So people that access the front side may have one code, people on the back side have a different code, so that we can really control who's accessing the each individual rack and server, so we don't have accidents really happen from someone that's not supposed to be tinkering in certain parts. And then, of course, we're monitoring that through security cameras. In terms of the features that we provide, and this is really at a high level in terms of what you get through a hosted workspace with dinCloud and Citrix, we give access to, so we cover DIN Manage, which is really the IT admin's console, but we also give a web portal access to the end users, which really differentiates us. And we also provide connectivity. Of course, this is through all the Citrix capabilities, multimedia support, multi-platform support. So depending on which operating system you have a native approach into the system. I also covered the different VDI components that are included as part of a desktop as a service offering from dinCloud. And then we go down to the user level in terms of the control and access that you want to provide a customer. And all this gets packaged up in a bundle. So you have all these components that you can see on the screen. I'll let you read through those. But all that is included in a monthly subscription per user price that we offer. When you start to think now, you have all this information and you say, okay, well, where can I use this for customers? A lot of our customers at dinCloud actually use this across the board and across their entire environment. But as a new partner of dinCloud, maybe you want to start in a specific use case. And so here's just a few examples where we've seen very good, if you will, these compelling reasons for an end customer to engage with a joint offering from us. So remote workers, people working in maybe not a branch office, but from home or in a very small branch, where they don't have the local IT support, then it's a great way to do software delivery and be able to support your customers and provide extra value from yourself as well as a managed service provider to them. Application publishing and legacy software, that really is a big headache for customers in terms of supporting multiple operating systems, trying to run the same version or different versions of applications on the same desktop. That can be a challenge on a physical desktop, but not in a virtual environment. And then, of course, the BYOD, bringing devices with all these millennials coming into the picture. You want to be able to support, or a customer wants to be able to support these without the headache of the lack of security that they may have on their personal side of the device. And then a really good compelling reason is when companies are going through M&A, divestitures, spin-offs. It's a great way to very quickly get up and running on an environment and not have to deal with that. And then just a quick diagram, again, this is really more of an end user focus. A lot of our partners do understand how the virtual desktop and hosted workspaces work, but conceptually, you have all these different types of users coming in securely into a hosted private cloud, and then you're able to access a combination of applications, the operating system, of course, and then the data behind it. And there's backups and data redundancies and snapshots and all those things that we can add in for customers as well. When you take a look at, okay, you understand the use cases, what type of industries, these are usually the types of industries we see a lot of traction in. Anything with regulation, with data protection requirements, those are very common. And so this gives you a quick snapshot of that. But wait, there's more. dinCloud also offers infrastructure as a service. So that's our din server product. We also do database hosting. We also provide backup services. And then we have a number of different security services as well. So Steve had mentioned in terms of the different offerings through Citrix, it's a very broad portfolio. And so between dinCloud's offerings and what you will be able to access through Citrix, it pretty much covers all the different things that your customers may want to do as they go through this digital transformation. So again, just to summarize now, why dinCloud? So one is the white glove onboarding. A lot of cloud providers, kind of give you the iron, give you the infrastructure and say, okay, good luck, go do this. Or they charge you an arm and a leg to set it up. All this is included. Again, dinCloud, one of our value propositions is around flat rate pricing and being inclusive in our pricing, whether it's the security, whether it's the onboarding. So we do a lot of handholding for both our partners and their end customers to make sure it's a successful onboarding. We also have automation in terms of provisioning, and then we allow, again, that self-service for both you as the IT admins for your customers or the customer's own internal folks as well. What this really boils down to is a true competitive advantage when you look at all the other resellers and all the other companies out there that are providing services, and for you to have this combined service from Citrix and from dinCloud, you will find through the resources we're able to provide you that you will be able to have a very compelling offer in the market, and it'll be distinguished from all the other things that are out there. And of course, we have a strong relationship with Citrix. So we have the hosting expertise. Again, like I mentioned in that construction example, we're taking care of all those pieces for you, and we want to be your partner to help you with a successful onboarding. So with that, I appreciate your time, and we will also open it up for some questions, but of course, you can also reach out to us directly in a manner that you find most convenient for yourself, phone, email, or online. So again, thank you. Appreciate your time, and we'll take a look if there are questions right now. Otherwise, again, we have other ways to get in touch as well. All right, so I'm going to, this is Ali again. I'm going to see what types of questions we have coming in. Okay, just trying to read through these. Okay, the question is, do you have sales and marketing materials? So the question to that, yes, definitely. So for partners, we want to make sure you're successful, whether it's in your go-to-market enablement, preparing your salespeople, or in lead generation. So we do have a good deal of the materials, especially because of the relationship with Citrix.
Yeah, just to add to that, this is Steve Curran from Citrix. Just to add to that is, first, that's an excellent question. And I'm really, really pleased that somebody's got their sights on that, because it's a key critical success factor. And what the dinCloud Citrix relationship and alliance brings to the resellers for you folks is a comprehensive library of sales enablement tools. And this includes sales training, standard PowerPoint and sales decks that are rolled up by vertical, such as healthcare, legal, education, and so forth. We also have competitive information, so it is able to give your sales force a good knowledge set of what's going on in the market and what resources they have available to you. So, and this also includes video usage. In some cases, if a sales agent in the field feels more comfortable with having a video play first to kind of set the stage for a sales call, that's also available. So we found that very effective in our rollouts.
Great. Let's see. Okay, a couple more questions here. Are there any fees or minimum commitments? From a dinCloud perspective, no, we do not charge fees for partners to come on board and work with us. And from a minimum commitment, I'd say generally the minimum when we do a proof of concept or a pilot program, we're looking at about 5 users. But again, the type of opportunity you're bringing, we can take a look at that. We've also seen some partners where if they are working with smaller end users, what they'll do is they'll set up their own environment and then they'll share that in a secure way with multiple customers that they have, but it'll be dedicated to that partner. So that's an option.
Yeah, just to add to that from a Citrix standpoint, I presented the statistics about the size of companies that are moving to the cloud. And in order to address and put to the market a solution that addresses and meets the needs of each one of those market segments, we do not include commitments in our licensing. So there won't be any commitments from the licensing standpoint for all the products that we talked about today from the Citrix standpoint, allowing you to get a very broad reach in your targets that you could go after upon deployment.
Okay. And do we have to be a Citrix partner to be able to sell this service? From a dinCloud perspective, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to jump in from the Citrix side. dinCloud is the master agent, and this program is designed and structured such that it's rolled out under dinCloud from a contractual standpoint. So we don't need any contractual arrangements between the resellers and Citrix directly. The contractual arrangement will be between dinCloud and their resellers.
Yeah, and I'd echo that. dinCloud doesn't require any kind of special certifications, and that's where we do a lot of the support, handholding, the hosting of the services. We have all that expertise in-house, and so partners, we're just looking to engage with end users, and we'll definitely work jointly to support our partners as they go out to customers.
All right, a big thank you to our speakers today, Ali, Din, and Steve Curran, and for all of those who attended and for the great questions we got in our Q&A. So I want to take a moment to remind you, if there's any content from today's session that you want to go back and reference, you can access it at dincloud.com/webinars. That's a great resource if you want to see our upcoming webinar calendar as well as other past recordings. So with that, thank you again and have a great day.